Today we're going to make a Fauve-inspired landscape, and we're going to use the same colors we always use: phthalo blue, quin magenta, benzimidazoline yellow, and titanium white. So I've got my palette set up here from painting I was doing previously. We're going to do something a little different today. We're going to bring some architecture into this. I'm using my paint pen, my Posca paint pen, and I'm going to draw my under drawing first. I don't ordinarily do that, but for this, let's do it so we can establish the architecture. What we're going to have here is a really simple street scene. So we're looking down the road at these houses, and we're just going to have a very simple street scene, just like this. Nothing too fancy. We'll make it kind of simple. And we've got these houses like so. And here is our road coming into our view. Right here's our road. Back here we have the ocean, like so. And on this side we'll have some bushes and trees and things like that. Don't make it too complicated. Okay, we'll put a tree here on the side of the road, like so. And over here we'll have some bushes and another tree and so on. But you don't want to make it too complicated. So this right here, if you just look at the perspective here, is sort of a wonky rectangle. That's all you need to do. You don't have to have anything fancy. Let's get started painting. I'm going to use my number 12 Acrylic, and I'm going to paint the sky and the ocean blue. So let's start with a little titanium white first back here. Now I won't go over the drawing of my architecture because I want to preserve that. Now these paint pen lines might still be wet, so I might even pick up a little bit of that pink, but that's okay. I'm just going to lay down this titanium white first, and I can still see my tree drawings there. Get my titanium white here. Now let's get a little bit of our phthalo blue for our sky. We want our sky to be lighter than the ocean, so make sure you don't use too much phthalo blue. I'm going to just bring that all the way over. Okay, so we have our sky. Wipe my brush. It's got a fair amount of titanium white on it. Take that off, and now I'm going to go right into the phthalo blue all by itself. And I want my ocean to be darker than my sky. Just make it simple though. Little bit of that titanium blue. I'm going to paint up to the edge of my architecture. I don't want to go over those lines. And I'm painting a little bit drier than what I usually do. I'm not painting alla prima, wet into wet. I'm putting this layer of paint down fairly dry because we're going to come back over it with trees and whatnot. So it'd be nice if we don't have too much wet paint underneath. So there we go. We've got our ocean. It's got a nice contrast to the sky. Just make sure you get all that white canvas covered. There we go. Good. Okay. Now let's put our road in. I'm going to wipe my brush. I'm going to go over to my number 8 Acrylic. And I'm going to put, my road's going to be kind of red, pinkish red. So I'm going to take some quin magenta, a little bit of quin magenta, and a fair amount of titanium white. And then I'm going to add a little yellow to it. So I've got kind of a terracotta color going here. And let's just lay that down. For our road. I'm going to add a little bit of yellow to that. It doesn't have to be one exact color all the way. You can actually have some nice variation in that. Put a little yellow here and there. And add a little bit more yellow up here. A little bit of titanium white down here. Just so it doesn't look too static. You know, you want your road to have a little bit of flavor. Because after all, it's a road. It gets driven on and walked on. So you don't want it to be one static color. I'm going to pick up a tiny bit of Quin Magenta, pull that in. Tiny bit more. Just making little textural marks on that road so it looks like it's traveled, well traveled. Wipe my brush. I'm going to rinse it. Before I go any further, I'm going to go back into my phthalo blue ocean and I'm going to give it another coat of paint because it's just not opaque enough. That's the thing about these modern pigments that you really have to pay attention to. The Fauves didn't have these pigments. They were painting with things like cadmium red and cobalt and ultramarine, and we are painting with pigments that are fairly recent. But a lot of times these modern pigments that we're using, phthalo blue, Quin Magenta, those are much more transparent. Now I've got that paint in there. I'm going to add just a little bit of titanium white. And I just want to get a little bit of texture going in my paint, in my ocean. Not enough titanium white really to shift the color too much, but just so there's a little bit of texture. So it's just not one flat color, very much like our road. When we did our road, it's not flat. It's got a little bit of action. And of course, the ocean does have that. Let's go just a little bit more blue here. Just give it a little bit of texture and a little action there. Okay, good. And I think for our horizon line back here, I'm going to come in with my phthalo blue, give that horizon line a real definite line there. There we go. Okay, now let's do our bushes here. Rinse my brush. And I'm going to block this in with a couple of different types of green. So we'll start with our yellow, bring in a little phthalo, sort of lay down some greens there, bring some more yellow in. You don't want them just one flat color, so mix it up a little bit. We're going to overlap that road because that's what the bushes do. Overlap it. Let's make it a little bit darker there. Mixing up those colors. Now hopefully our ocean is getting dry because we're going to draw our tree right over it. So hopefully it's getting dry. Okay. Okay, we've got our bushes going there. Let's work on our houses. Now for our houses, we're going to need a square brush. I suggest a good square brush like this Langnickel square brush. And let's have some fun with our houses. I'm going to start with titanium white. I'm going right into that peachy color that we made earlier. Let's get some yellow. More titanium white. Let's see how that works. That looks pretty good. The reason you want a square brush to do this is if you're painting something square, you need a square brush. Your round brushes like the Acrylic won't do the job. Okay, so we've got one going here. And let's have one a little bit pinker. Next to it. And this one here, let's make that one. I've already got pink on my brush. Let's go a little bit more yellow. Get more of an orange, kind of an ochre color here. A little bit more golden. Let's just make sure we get those nice and straight, get those lines nice and straight. Good. Okay, we've got our houses sort of set up there. I'm going to wipe my brush. I'm not going to put it in the water, I'm just going to wipe it. And I'm going to give them a red rooftop. So let's get a little bit of our Quin Magenta, a little bit of my yellow. And just right along the top here, just dab that on. For their rooftops. Perfect. Okay, we're going to let this dry while we paint our trees. I'm going to go back to my number 8 brush. And I'm going to have one tree here, and then I'm going to have another tree coming out by the side of the road. So let's start with this tree. I think I'll make that tree, since we're painting in the Fauve style, I think I'm going to make that a pink tree. So Quin Magenta and a little titanium white. Let's have a pink tree. Why not? Why not? So I'm going to start right here and pull up like so. I think that tree probably stops right about there. And let's have a friend for it over here coming off the side of the road like so, like this one. There, 2 trees. Let's have this one come down a little bit, right to the edge of the road. This one comes down into the bushes here. 2 pink trees. Matisse would be so proud of us doing pink trees. He did all kinds of fun stuff with trees. All right. Let's give them some limbs. Just a few limbs sticking out there. So maybe like so, and like so. Not too many. I don't know what kind of trees these are, but they're pink trees. So, you know, I'm the artist and I can make them any color I want. Okay, I think that's it for tree limbs. Okay, now we need to dress up our houses just a tiny bit. So back to our square brush. I'm going to give the houses some doors and windows. Make sure your brush is clean. And our paint should be just about dry. So let's check. Yep, pretty much dry. So this is about the right size. I'm going to just pull a blue right here for a door. I don't want it too wet, so let's go right here. My door, like so. A couple of windows, and yes, I know they're not in the same perspective. That's okay. We're not being too fussy. I'm gonna have a window here. Let's have one up here. A couple more doors and windows. Now down here, I want them a little bit smaller, so I'm going to go on the side. And up here, and here. And maybe we'll have one here. There we go. Plenty of doors and windows. We don't need any more than that. Okay, pick up my number 8. Let's put a little bit of foliage around our houses. A little bit of yellow, a little bit of phthalo blue. Get a nice green going. And we'll just have some little growing things here in front of the houses. Just what we need. Now let's finish our trees. I'm going to go back over here to my bushes. I'm going to work on those a little bit. Let's get a little bit of that phthalo blue over here. Little titanium white. A little more of that titanium white. And our bushes look pretty good over here. Just vary the greens with yellow and blue. Vary that. Give it some interest. Okay, looking good. All right, finally for our trees, I'm going to wash my brush, dry it really well. And for my trees, I'm going to go pink. We have pink trunks. We're going to go more or less pink for our foliage. So I'm going to give them sort of the cypress effect that we see in Monterey and Carmel here in California. Just sort of sparse. Using my brush sideways. And leaving lots of air for so you can see the sky behind it, behind those trees. Okay, I think we need a little bit more here, over here. Now we'll come back, wipe my brush, come back with a little Quin Magenta straight with nothing else in it, and just give those a little bit of contrast, a little dark on top. Just keep building up with that Quin Magenta on top of that pink to give it a little more depth. Okay, we're getting there with our trees. They're looking pretty good. Our pink trees. All right. Now, just a couple of final things that we can do. We'll take our paint pens. This is my Posca paint pen. This is a red one and a fine tip. And let's come over here to our greenery, and we'll put some little red dots there, just to so that kind of resembles some flowers. Let's have a couple more here. And we're going to do the same thing with our doors and windows. Let's just clean them up a little bit where they need it. Make sure when you're using your paint pens that you're working in dry acrylic paint. Because if you put your paint pens into wet acrylic paint, it will ruin your paint pen. If you want to, you can come back and embellish your doors and windows with your paint pen, but I'm going to leave them as is for right now. So there we are. That's a little quick and easy Fauve-inspired painting with a little bit of architecture this time. I hope you enjoyed that. Join me next time, and remember what I always say, keep painting.